my mentee reached out to me last week and he said this. One thing I really feel like I struggle with is time management. And I wanted to know if you have any recommendations or advice for getting the hang of that. And when I first got this question, first thing that came to mind is like, one, time management is a lifetime commitment. It's not something that you're just going to solve overnight. It's definitely going to be something that you have to be intentional with, trying to improve in. So that was kind of the first thing I let him know. And then when I kind of drafted my message, I was like, whoa, like, other people could probably find value from this as well. So I figured I'd create a little video for you all, just to kind of provide my perspective on why I feel people really struggle with time management. What are some things deep down why people struggle with time management? And I want to provide some practical things that you could do to potentially improve your time management. So, the first reason I think people struggle with time management is because they're uncertain of their future. I listened to this podcast recently, and the speaker was Jim Rohn, and he brought up that, there's three things that kind of determine a person's actions. He said how they feel about the future, how they feel about the past, and how they feel about themselves. And I really think when I kind of digested that a little bit and thought about it, it's like, whoa, Savion, like, you're going through some things right now. You're having a little uncertainty about what the future may look like. And then when you kind of do a little digging or think more about it, it's like, okay, as a result of having that like uncertain thinking, how is that affecting my daily actions? How does it affect how I feel about myself, and then therefore the actions that I'm able to do on the daily? And I definitely think all three go hand in hand. So it's important that like you get clear or identify where you are on that spectrum. Are you feeling maybe pessimistic about the future? Are you feeling optimistic about the future? Are you just uncertain, maybe unclear? Those all have capabilities of impacting how you feel, which ultimately could impact how you act. So that's one thing I'll say. Next thing I'll say is folks I don't think are clear on their goals, and those can be short-term or long-term goals. So to tie back into the first point, if you're uncertain about your future, it's probably because you haven't sat down to, think about what it is you envision for your life, and I'm talking about like that could be, hey, what car do I drive? What house do I live in? What neighborhood do I live in? Where do I want to travel? What do I want for my family? What do I want to do for my extended family? Thinking about all those things, writing that down and getting clear with that, if you probably haven't done it, you're probably just going day to day with, hey, the demands of life are coming at you daily. You're handling them as they come, and then you go on about your next day with just kind of an autonomous way where it's like you're just kind of living through life without getting that true clarity on what it is you want for your future. And I think that definitely plays a role in how you act on the daily, which may impact, how you feel about how you manage your time. So definitely something to consider there. The next thing I'll say is like people probably don't have the self-discipline required to get to whatever it is that they want to do, and that's really it. Self-discipline is gonna be key. Whether that's like, you may have poor planning right now. You may be getting distracted with things. You might procrastinate. That's one thing I do. Sometimes you may feel lazy. Sometimes you just might lack that motivation. There's multiple reasons why someone could lack self-discipline, but I think it's important for one to get to the root cause of really assess where their discipline is today, how do they feel, and then figure out what is those things that they can do to improve. So as far as like practical examples, one thing I would highly recommend you do is you need to assess about how you feel about your current life. Not only current life today, but how you feel about your future. Ask yourself, like, are you pessimistic about the future? Are you optimistic about the future? Are you uncertain? And get clear as to like, okay, if you are feeling optimistic, great. That's the mindset that we want to be in, but we understand that not everybody might be there. But for those who may be feeling a little uncertain, which I have been in the past, or, you're feeling just like, what, just everything's not working out. It hasn't worked out in my past, so it's probably not going to work out in the future for me. Like, I really need you to dig deep here and really understand why are you feeling this way. Because I think getting to those answers will unlock not only how you feel about yourself, which have potential to impact how you act moving forward and the actions that you take. Part of that, the next thing I'll say is you definitely want to get clear on your life goals, both short and long term. A way you can do this as far as your life goals go, an exercise I'd like to do is called the 135. And it's basically you spend 5 minutes jotting down what do you see for yourself, what do you want for your life in the next year. Next 5 minutes, what do you see for yourself in the next 3 years? Next 5 minutes, what do you see for yourself in the next 5 years? And if you can even go a step further, I would challenge you to do a 10 and 25 year. And that would really help you see just like what it is you want professionally, what do you want, personally, what do you want in all aspects of your life. Just get it all out. I truly believe that writing it makes it real, and it's a way for you to kind of see on paper like, hey, this is all that I want. And in a way, it kind of makes you understand like maybe this is too much to go after all at once, and you can kind of come up with the strategy of how you can approach all of your desires in chunks in some way. So definitely I would highly recommend a 135 just to get clear on that life vision. Next thing, when it comes to now the daily demands on your time, we all understand that we all have lots to do in various aspects of our life. And it's one thing to be clear on the life vision, but we also have to be clear on like what's in our face today. So an exercise that I recommend you do is just to do a brain dump. 20 minutes, brain dump everything that might be on your mind. And you don't need to use the full 20 minutes, but brain dump, get it all out the head. The head is not a hard drive for storing information. It's for coming up with ideas and for acting on information. So, start there. Once you have this list of everything that you need to do done, I would recommend you use an Eisenhower matrix. And I'll probably have a visual here or somewhere over here for you. And you use that matrix essentially to prioritize your work. And that helps you identify what's your priority number 1, priority number 2, priority number 3, and priority number 4 tasks. And what's key in a self-discipline kind of I would say exercise here would be you can only work in those tasks in priority order. So you cannot start a P4 without finishing your P3s. You can't do your P3s without finishing your P2s, and you can't start your P2s without finishing your P1s. And I don't know, I know I'm guilty of this, of basically like, I might have some P1s I need to do, but just because I know the P4s or P3s can easily be knocked out, I'll do those. But the thing is, you never really feel fulfilled by doing those, I would say, non-needle moving tasks, So definitely working those in that priority order, and that should at least help you see, hey, what's the group of work that you should start with? And from there, you just knock out the list, So cool. So now you're clear on your life vision. You're now clear on like, hey, in the short term, what are the demands of my time and what is the priorities of those tasks? Cool. The next thing I would say is you definitely want to time block. You want to be intentional with carving out time to now do this list of prioritized work. Of course, like I said, working in priority order. There's so many demands on our time, and oftentimes we're probably not even clear on how our hours of the day are even like where they're going. And you'd be surprised that like if you at least start to figure out or time block different events on your calendar, you'll get to see like, hey, maybe I did have extra time for this, or there's a gap of time between this and work that I can do this. Right now I'm recording this video in a gap of time I have between when I just got off of my 9 to 5 and then when I have to lock in for my daddy duties, So, this hour time gap, this is my recording time, So figuring that out for yourself, figuring that out for the different tasks that you have to do, will be very helpful. But it also requires self-discipline to either, yes, I've time blocked this time, but you're going to need to do it. You're going to need to do the work, which brings me into my last point, which is about execution. Ideas mean nothing, dreams, goals mean nothing without execution. So we could have gotten clear on the life goals, we could have gotten clear on what we need to do today, but if I don't have the self-discipline to sit down and say, what, I'm not going to get distracted, I'm not going to be procrastinated, I'm not going to get lazy on this, I'm going to knock this out, that's what it's going to ultimately take. And you have to really understand, like, have you altered your attitude towards life in a way that's going to help you take the actions that you need to take to help you fulfill the goals that you want to fulfill, and I definitely think they're all intertwined, interrelated, but I hope this video gets you thinking more about, it's not necessarily the I can't manage my time or I have too many things on my plate and not enough time to do it. It's more, hey, how am I feeling about myself? How am I feeling about my future? How am I feeling about my past? And thinking of how those areas are impacting how you feel about you and then the work you ultimately produce. And ever since I got this little mind shift, ever since I made the mind shift to say, you know what, Sav, I'm going to be optimistic about the future regardless of how I feel about my current situation, regardless of what I see today, whatever, regardless of what my bank account looks like, regardless of whatever looks like today. I know that if I stay diligent with my work, true to myself, keep my integrity, continue to be kind, produce great work, keep moving my feet, I will eventually get to what it is that I want to get to, and I'm clear on what those goals are. I know the type of house I want. I know the floors that's going to be in that house. I know the trips I want to take with my family. I know the things I want to be able to do for my extended family, so just having that clarity helps me know that ultimately, God, I know you got me on this journey. Having that true faith is going to be key as well. That's a hidden gem I'll leave for the end of this video for those still here. And, trust yourself and go for it. That's ultimately what I would say. And I think all of that, employing these practices should help you improve with your time management. And then you'll be able to kind of maximize your time in a day to really go after the goals that you want in life. So that's all I'll leave you with. This was a great video for me. I love kind of speaking on this. Let me know if you guys have any additional topics you want me to cover, or if this is kind of what you guys are feeling. And that's all I got for you. So thank you so much again for the time. This is Savion Wright. Don't forget to like or subscribe if you want. And thank you again. Sav out.